Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 66 to 70.
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न च भावयतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी.
In this portion of the Bhagavad Gita, the discussion is about Sthita Prajna, a perfect human being, one who has reached the self, one who is enlightened, one who has become one with one's own true nature. Thereafter, that person doesn't identify with the body, mind, and intellect and bring himself or herself into a small circle, has merged with the total. So, Shri Krishna is asked by Arjuna, what is the definition of a person who's reached perfection? Please describe that person. What is his inner state of mind? And how does that person impact the world? How does that person get impacted by the world? All this was discussed from verse number 55 till 58. 55, 56, 57, 58. Shri Krishna answers Arjuna's question, which was on 54. It was given in 54. Then 59 till verse number, you can say 68. He is talking about the importance of self-control, sense control and mind control, which is essential for anything in life, for general success in life. At the same time, especially when you talk about self-realization, enlightenment, it is extremely important because the fundamental principle that we talk about in Vedanta is everybody is essentially divine. But the divinity being the substratum is not revealed to everyone. Is not reflecting in every personality because their desires are too many. So the desires which makes the mind run outward is like the surface of the water is so disturbed and dirty that the reflection of the sun is falling on it. The sun rays are falling on it. But you don't see the reflection because of the dirt and the agitation on the surface of the water. So when you bring the water surface to stillness, make it clean and make it still, then the reflection becomes very clear. Similarly, since our mind is running extrovertedly towards the world outside, it is so agitated externally, you can't see the Atma from within revealing. So what you have to do is you have to quieten your mind. You have to reduce the desires. Now you cannot straight away say, I will not give into action. I will not do anything about my desires. I'll just suppress it and it will go away. No, through suppression, the desires only will increase. The desires will go on increase as you suppress your mind. Similarly, you cannot say, okay, I will indulge and get rid of the desire. Temporarily, maybe you will get rid of the desire when you indulge, but it will come back again. So neither indulgence nor denial is the solution. So then what do you have to do? He says, you have to lead a life of sense control and mind control, basically a disciplined life. First, through proper inquiry and understanding, you understand what is the purpose of life. Is the purpose of life merely to run after the material world and go on, aggrandize and aggrandize, hoard and hoard wealth, and then try to contact whatever we had hoarded and enjoy and feel satisfied, and maybe even though it is temporary, this is the game we are all playing, isn't it? Simply going on acquiring, enjoying. And we feel that whatever we have acquired and enjoyed is not enough, so we run continuously, we keep on running, and we complain of lack of peace. And we point finger at the world for this lack of peace within. So what Vedanta says is, listen, you are the divinity, you have to realize that. You are the peace that you are actually looking for. You are that happiness or truth that you are actually looking for. So therefore, what you have to do, Vedanta says, is fix a goal which is towards your growth. We have already discussed about growth and swelling in our classes. A lot of people think that swelling is growth. Simply because my wealth is swelling, they understand that they're growing. That is not growth. Their business is growing. They've started, everywhere. Factories have been started everywhere. A lot of wealth is coming. This doesn't mean that you're growing. But what is real growth? So Vedanta says, as you move closer and closer to the self, your peace increases. Calmness comes within, contentment is there, and you become more dynamic and efficient. You will be externally acting dynamically where it is required, and internally you will be calm always. Now, for that, what do you have to do? Vedanta says, you pitch a goal, something beyond your selfish, self-centered interest. Then anything and everything that will help you to go towards the goal becomes all that you can do. Anything that takes you away from the goal becomes your don'ts. So the do's and don'ts of everybody is determined by their own intellect depending upon their goal. And when we say goal, it has to be helpful for your growth. You understand? So therefore, you bring in a discipline where you say to your senses, these are all not helpful for your evolution. Not only they're not helpful, they may help you to, or rather they may make you devolve. Downward spiral you may go into. So therefore, you have to say no to them. So it's not that you say no to everything. You say no to the world, I will not contact. No. You continue contacting the world, but with your buddhi. Like a tortoise. He explained that. Like a tortoise, you continue with your buddhi, contact the world. Whenever you sense any danger, you withdraw. You withdraw your senses. So then he said, okay, you may bring in sense control, but internally in the mind you have developed lots of desires over a period of time. The mind is nothing but full of likes and dislikes. So what do you have to do? You have to make sure that your actions are not propelled by your likes and dislikes. Raga Tvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyaishcharan Atmavashe Videyatma Prasadam Adhigacchati. Verse number 64. He says, your action should be not propelled by your likes and dislikes. It should be propelled by your buddhi. Then after having propelled by your buddhi in life, there's a tendency to linger upon what you contacted. There's a tendency to linger on your perceptions. Isn't it? You, like a cow brings back whatever it ate the whole day, and cut shoes, we all bring it back and we discuss about it. We go on feeding that particular experience. And then we develop more and more vasanas, which cover ourselves. So therefore, two levels of self-control he talks about. One is the contact with the world should not be propelled by your likes and dislikes. He's not saying don't contact the world. That is impractical. A lot of people think, "Arey yaar, don't go to Vedanta so soon." Because you have to contact the world, you have to enjoy. You go to Vedanta, Vedanta will say, don't contact it. Vedanta doesn't say don't contact it. Say contact the world with your buddhi. And then, having contacted, end perception with perception. Atma vashe videya atma. Meaning, two levels of self-control. One is, Atma vashe also means self-control. Videya atma also means self-control. What does that mean? Let not your actions be propelled by your likes and dislikes. And after having contacted, after having experienced, after having perceived, let not your mind indulge in those perceptions. Go to end perception with perception and move to the next. Move to the next. Keep moving. In our classes, we mentioned this. It's a little, what do you call, inauspicious example for this kind of a class. The slogan for this alcohol brand, Johnny Walker, keep walking. You forget about Johnny Walker now. In the keep walking, you remember you got to keep moving. You should never stagnate. Stagnation is sin. We all tend to stagnate. You got to keep on moving. You understand? Mahakavi Bharati in Tamil, he sings, Intru Pudidai Pirandom. He says, Intru Pudidai Pirandom means we are born today newly, freshly. Past is dead and gone. Future is yet to be born. The only moment that is there now, which is alive, is this moment. But the mind keeps on moving to the past and future, past and future. And when you bring the mind to the present, it becomes no more. It doesn't exist anymore. The truth reveals itself in the presence, in the present moment. So therefore, he says, you have to control your mind by not giving it your likes and dislikes. Use your buddhi, contact, and then don't indulge in your perceptions. And you are moving about in the world, you are living in the world, no problem. Such a person has his senses under control. And the result of that is he attains peace. Prasada means. Prasada means peace. You become extremely peaceful. The mind has turned introvert. The desires have reduced. You don't multiply desires. We discussed this. How do you multiply desire? By constant, unintelligent, unconscious thought flow. You increase your vasanas. You increase your desires. So how do you take it out? See, when you are walking on the road, looking here and there or talking on the phone, let's say your attention is not there on the road when you're walking. So you may stamp on a thorn and a thorn may get into your flesh. How do you remove the thorn? With another thorn. Thorn got into your feet because you were moving unconsciously. Now you are using another thorn to remove this thorn consciously. The difference is that earlier, unconsciously, now consciously. Unconsciously moving about binds you. Consciously moving about liberates you. It's as simple as that. So Vedanta is not against moving. Vedanta is for moving. But moving with awareness. Moving with your buddhi. You understand? Without mindlessly running. It's not going to help you. So therefore he says, you will get tremendous prasada, peace. Which you will be totally contented. See, today what is happening is, we are not contented with what we have. Vedanta is not saying, don't aspire for more. But the first condition is be contented with what you have. Because only when you're contented can you think properly. To acquire more, to achieve more in life, you need peace of mind so that you can think properly. But if you're discontented, how can you think properly? Yes, discontentedly when you run, you may have conquered more distance compared to a person who is discontentedly sitting down. Because a lot of people have this concept that if you want to achieve something in life, you have to be discontent. Because if you're contented, why will you move? Because they don't understand that there is a higher level of moving, you see, in life. What is that? You can move out of love or you can move out of desire. The lower level of functioning is moving out of desire. The higher level of functioning is moving out of love. I may not want anything personally, but out of true love, identification, I keep moving. See, let's say you are sitting in one place. You have no desire to get up and go. You have no desire to continue sitting there. But you happen to be sitting in one place. And it starts disturbing others' movement, let's say. Now you have no desire to get up and go. You have no desire to continuously sit there. And you are seeing that it is disturbing so many people. You may just move away from there and go and sit somewhere else. It's out of pure love, identification with the others. So you will continue moving, but with awareness. So first and foremost, therefore, you need to bring in contentment from within. Unfortunately, what is happening in the world is there's a pig's contentment. A pig is very contented in slush. It's all the time remaining in dirt. And in dirt, it is very content. Like that, many of us, we may be in this world, whatever is that, tea, care, a bow that is enough, more than enough. And we have pig's contentment, we practice, and then we don't realize our potential to contribute more for the society, for the well-being of everyone. So, that is wrong, no doubt. That is tamas. The other is rajas. How much ever you have, you're still discontented from it. And the fact that out of discontentment simply running, you might be covering a lot more distance compared to the other fellow. But that doesn't mean you're productive. That is called swelling. The real productivity is your mind is calm, you think. You can think properly. With thinking, you will achieve something what the other fellow achieves in 10 days, maybe in one day itself. A lot more productivity, a lot more contributions to the society. So therefore, it's extremely important to bring ourselves to this prasada level, peace, contentment. And that's what he says in the next shloka 65, which we saw last. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso yashuhu buddhi paryavatishtate. In peace, in that contentment, all sorrows are destroyed. The source of sorrows is your attachment and desires, uncontrolled desires, which remains unfulfilled. And these unfulfilled desires is called disturbance in the mind, agitations, lack of peace. So what he says is, in peace, all his sorrows are destroyed. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate. As a result, what happens? Prasanna chetaso yashu buddhi paryavatishtate. The buddhi becomes prasanna. The intellect becomes sharp, clear, able to discriminate properly, clearly think. So therefore, he says, the intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. It starts focusing. It starts focusing the mind in the present. A person who can focus in the present achieves a lot more. You understand? The focus is extremely important for any success. It's extremely important, isn't it? Whoever is able to focus, they achieve. So therefore, he says, soon the intellect of the tranquil-minded becomes steady. Meaning, single-pointedly it goes. That's extremely important, You tell the mind, go this way, it has to go. Mind by itself going is not single-pointedness. Something you love a lot. Love means you like it so much that you The mind is constantly thinking about it doesn't mean you're a very single-pointed person. Whether you like it or not, it's something that you ought to do, and you are able to keep your mind single-pointedly on it. Such a person achieves anything in life. That's why a lot of people say, very difficult to say no. How can I say no? A very close friend is inviting me. A very close relative is inviting me. How can I say no? I'm not able to say no. It's a very big thing in life, learning how to say no. So he therefore says, the intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. It's very clear. In that clarity, what happens? You will be having tremendous self-control over your senses and mind, and then you direct your mind towards the chosen goal, and you achieve success, which brings peace, and you have fulfilled your desires, which brings happiness. What is happiness? Happiness is a state of mind in which your desire is fulfilled and eradicated. Now, in our case, what is happening is, when we run like a chicken without head, we may be fulfilling certain desires, but we'll be increasing a lot more desires. So, some amount of happiness we may be kind of experiencing, but the fact that we are going on increasing desires, there's a lot more desires unfulfilled. Therefore, our quality and quantity of happiness is fractional. That's why Swamiji beautifully in the book, commentary by Swamiji, if you have, you can see it there. In the commentary for Shloka number 65, is given that formula for happiness. He says the formula for happiness is the ratio between number of desires fulfilled to the ratio of number of desires entertained. Number of desires fulfilled is in the numerator. Number of desires entertained is in the denominator. Now, a person who's in fixed contentment doesn't do any action. His desires are in unmanifest state, let's say. And that fellow is not doing anything, he won't achieve anything. Whatever little desires he is able to fulfill with less effort, without doing much, he may be fulfilled. But you come to a person who is discontented. He is going on running about fulfilling desires, the mind is extroverted. So what is happening is he's fulfilling his desires, but he's also increasing more and more desires. So what is happening in this formula, if you see, the numerator, let's say he is through his efforts, fulfilled 10 desires, but increased 1,000 new desires. So the happiness is 10 by 1,000, 1 by 100. That is the level of happiness he experiences. Whereas, if you keep your mind calm, focus your mind in the areas that it needs to be focusing, you go about functioning like that and you will be fulfilling desires as a result. But at the same time, you have not allowed your mind to go in any directions, and then therefore you have not increased your desires, fresh desires. So the numerator is taken care of, the denominator is reducing and comes to zero finally. So when you achieve, let's say, 10 desires, and earlier you used to entertain 1,000 desires, now you brought it down to 100. Slowly you brought it down to 10. When it's 10 by 10, you get 1. It's not fraction anymore. You understand? Now, if you can bring yourself to zero denominator, meaning no desires whatsoever is freshly entertained, anything divided by zero is infinite. So your happiness increases. So the way to go about living in life, experiencing happiness and increasing your material wealth, is given in this shloka. The whole thing is mind. Whole Vedanta is minding your mind. That's why I tell in our classes, somebody asks you, what did you learn in the class? You tell them, mind your own business. They'll think that you are telling them to mind their own business. But actually, what you're learning in Vedanta is minding your own business, which is the most difficult thing. Mind goes about minding many people's business. What is that fellow doing? What is this fellow doing? What is he thinking? What is she thinking? All that is not at all important. Whole Vedanta is minding your mind. That's why in the 6th chapter, Sri Krishna says, your mind alone is your friend, mind alone is your enemy. Tared atmanatman atmanam avasade atmaiva atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripura. The mind alone is your friend, bandhu, relative, good friend. Mind alone is your enemy, ripu. It's an enemy. If the mind is brought under the intellect, discipline, then it's your friend. If it's not brought under your intellect, if it is indisciplined, it's your enemy. As simple as that. So therefore, he says, in peace, all his sorrows are destroyed. The intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. So a person who has a steady mind is going to use another word in the next sloka. He's calling such a person as yukta. So he's going to say what happens to the person who has yukta, he already mentioned. Now, if you are ayukta, what will happen? He's mentioning that in the next sloka. Verse number 66.
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न च भावयतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्.
Nasti buddhira yuktasya. Ayuktasya. Ayukta, yukta. Yukta means one who is centered, one who is able to be focused, one who is self-controlled. See, there is something upon which our mind should single-pointedly go. Take the senses, go towards that single-pointedly, the mind. But now what is happening? It is getting distracted. It is going in all directions. When the mind goes in all directions, not in the chosen direction, such a person is called ayukta. Most of us are like that. Most of us fit into the definition of ayukta. Right? So he says, there is no na asti buddhi. For whom? Ayuktasya. For the ayukta, for the one who is not centered, for the one who is not focused, for the one who is not self-controlled, there is no buddhi. Buddhi means he doesn't have the capacity to discriminate clearly. Also, buddhi here means he doesn't have knowledge. So there is neither knowledge for the person who is ayukta. First thing he says, there is no knowledge. There is no knowledge means what? Words he doesn't consider as knowledge. Mere intelligence he doesn't consider as knowledge. Which he explains further. He says, na asti buddhihi ayuktasya na cha ayuktasya bhavana. For the ayukta, there is no bhav. Ayukta doesn't have bhav also. In the book by Swamiji is translated as meditation. Bhava means attitude. Prasada bhava we say. You understand? That contented mind which accepts everything that comes in life after having done what ought to be done as a prasad. Accepting it as a result of my karma. So that I am able to be contented in life, peaceful. And then see my potential and start using my buddhi and increasing my productivity. Right now, I am peaceful. So what Vedanta says, be contented and aspire for more. When you are not contented, what is happening is you have tied your present contentment to future achievements. No. When you are contented now and aspiring for more, you have tied your contentment to what? Anybody? See, there are two things. The discontentment that is prevailing today, there is discontentment now. Such a person, what is the idea in that person? His contentment is in future achievements. You understand? He is discontented because he is tied his present happiness to future achievement. What Vedanta is talking about is be contented now. Means what is he tying his happiness to? A person who's contented in the present is tying his happiness to what? Person who's discontented in the present is tying his happiness to the future achievements. Fellow who's agitated now, discontented now, is tying his happiness to future achievement. A person who's contented in the present is tying his happiness to what? That is the question. Anybody?
To getting closer to the self,
No.
Growing
what
in
tying
life.
his happiness to? I mean, yeah, contentment to. Anybody? First of all, do you all understand the question? When a person is discontented, that person's happiness is tied to future achievement. His present happiness is tied to future achievement. Now, when a person is contented, what is his happiness tied to? That's a question.
His essence, his
Pardon?
present, his essence.
Essence.
Yeah,
What is that essence?
it's our essence. Satchitananda.
No. It's far-fetched. Satchitananda is
So,
far-fetched. You have heard these words?
So-
Huh?
so won't he be happy in the
Huh?
self with the self? Happy in the self with the self within the self.
Hey, Baba, that is all too much. That is self-realized to soul. Ramana Maharishi, Swami Ramtita, people like that. Are we in that level? Then if I tell you be contented in the present, how will you be contented? Contented in the present means being contented in doing what is the right thing in the present. See, we have already studied. That's why I'm saying it's not enough. Just please listen now. Please listen now. Please listen. It's not enough if you just merely attend the
So,
classes.
can't hear you.
Pardon?
Can't hear you, sir.
You can't hear me? Can you all hear me or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
then-
now it's okay. In between, it was cracking. Sorry.
See, in verse, what I was trying to say is, it's not enough if you just listen to the classes or read book. You need to sit and reflect, think. The thought flow is, in 47, he already mentioned, Karmaniyeva adhikaraha, ma phaleshu kadacha. Your right is over your action only, never to the result. Okay. In the sense, you keep on doing what ought to be done. Now, result may take some time. That's due to so many reasons, so many factors. Very important factor in result is your action. For the result is your action. But there are so many other factors. You understand? Yesterday, you've been continuously functioning in a particular way. Yesterday, there was budget in India. The government brought in new things. Because of that, there may be something good for you, maybe something not so good for you. Let's say, supposing they introduce a lot more tax for the product that you are producing. As a result, initially, maybe the demand for your product may go down, and you thinking that from the past it may sell more, you could have stocked up more. You don't know all these things. You can only think and do. Correct? So what Vedanta says is, Karmani eva adhikara. Means what? You can find your happiness only by doing the right thing. So you are contented. Oh, okay. Suddenly these people have brought in new things in yesterday's budget. Accordingly, I'll adjust myself. Accept it as prasad. I'm able to bring myself to calmness. Otherwise, I'll be agitated. What is this? These government people, suddenly they say one thing, they do one thing. You will get agitated. So, in other words, the person who's contented, I repeat, that person's happiness comes from doing the right thing. With this understanding, that the results depend on so many factors. Whereas the person whose contentment in the future has no knowledge, he doesn't understand, he's constantly agitated. I must leave this country and go to some other. If you go there, Now in America, what is happening? When the president has changed, there many things are changing there. Everywhere this will be the situation. Wherever you go. If you keep on going outward, this is a situation. So Vedanta says keep going inward. That you do not want to go. So,
can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Who's this? Yes.
How do we know what is the right thing?
How do you know what is the right thing? In the sense you have a goal and you use your buddhi and see what is the right thing to do towards that goal. You may like something, you may not like something. But is that the right thing for that goal? If that is the right thing for the goal, do it. If that is not the right thing for the goal, then don't do it. For example, you need to materially grow also. You need to take care of your family also as a family man. You are married, you have children, you have parents to support. All that is there. So you have your own personal ambitions maybe. So you have to balance it out and see what is the right thing accordingly. So you may not be able to achieve certain ambitions immediately. Now, supposing you give it your mind and go for certain loans which is beyond your limits, and then you will get into trouble. So the right thing there is to see, okay, what is my risk profile, how I can go about. You use your buddhi based on these factors only. Na? So you have a spiritual goal to achieve. You have a family to take care. You have a health to take care. You have your finances to take care. All that has to align in one direction. When you align in one direction and then see what is the right thing to do for all that, that you do. That becomes your do's. Anything that will take you away becomes your don'ts. Is this clear?
Thank you.
Yeah. So, therefore, he says there is neither knowledge nor bhava, that prasada buddhi. Prasada buddhi, see, is translated as meditation. Now, that's correct only. Meditation means nididhyasanam. There are three things, right? One is shravana, other is manana, and the other is nididhyasana. Shravana is reading or listening. Manana is reflecting upon what you have read or listened. And nididhyasana is establishing yourself in it. So, first of all, for a person who is not able to be focused, who doesn't practice sense control or self-control, knowledge itself is not possible. By chance, that fellow somehow gained the intelligence knowledge, it doesn't get established. For establishing that knowledge, you need to have this self-control. It's extremely important. Very, very important. So, that is what he's saying. There is neither knowledge nor meditation, nididhyasana, contentment. Unless you have contentment within, with what you have achieved till now through your actions, how can your intellect be sharp? Because it will be because of the disturbance within, you will not be able to think properly. You may do 10 things correctly, one thing wrongly, that's enough. Therefore, he says, for a ayukta, for a person who is not centered in the self, for the person whose mind is still extroverted, for the person whose mind is not focusing, difficulty is there in gaining the knowledge. And even if somehow that person gains the knowledge means the words. You know, we know the words, we understand how to control the mind and all that. But when it actually comes to controlling the mind, zero. That's what he's saying. There's no bhav. In actual practice, koi nahi hai. Baat bahut karta hai. We say that, no. That's what he's saying. Actually, the person may be explaining how to focus brilliantly. Maybe written books on focusing also. You understand? Beginning, the intelligence is there. In fact, many people, when they write books, they are going on talking, somebody else is writing it. So, there is neither knowledge nor meditation for the unsteady minded person. And to the unmeditative, there is no peace. Nacha ayuktasya bhavana. So he says, Nacha bhavayata shantihi. For a person who doesn't have bhav, there is no shanti. There is no peace. even though that person may be in a peaceful environment, is not peaceful. Mahatma Gandhi says, you have to find peace in a disturbed environment. Any fool can find peace in peaceful environment, he says. You need to be a master to find peace in a disturbed environment. Now, you forget about disturbed environment. Even in a peaceful environment, we are finding ourselves in disturbed condition. Where is the disturbance coming from? Within. It's not coming from here and there. It's coming from within. Because the mind is asking for everything. This also I want. That also I want. I'm not having this. Everybody is having this. You forget about what all you have in that moment. So therefore he says, to the unmeditative, there is no peace. Nacha bhavayata shantihi. How can there be peace for that person? His mind will be running helter-skelter. Cannot be at peace at all. Agitate. How much ever comes, will be focusing on what is missing. You may have all the teeth intact. One tooth has fallen. Your tongue goes on finding that gap. When any tooth has fallen, we have the habit of putting the tongue inside that teeth. That gap. So, that's what he's saying. Nacha bhavayata shantihi. There is no bhava for that fellow. There is only agitation for that fellow. Ashantasya kuta sukam, he says. For the person who is not peaceful, how can there be happiness? That's the question. And to the peaceless, how can there be happiness? Everybody is doing or not doing actions only to find happiness. Somebody who's run away from action is for what purpose? To find happiness. Somebody who is continuously doing actions in a particular way, for what purpose? Happiness. But if you want happiness, you have to keep yourself peaceful. Otherwise, it's not possible. And you cannot keep yourself peaceful without bringing your senses and mind under control. See, that's why in the beginning, it is extremely important to have a conducive environment. They say, near the schools, that the distance has to be so many kilometers or whatever near the between the school and alcohol shop. Any temptations, for that matter, you keep them away. Because anywhere in the world, it takes about 10 to 12 years for the children to start asking questions. In the beginning, only the brain grows, then the mind grows. Slowly, the intellect starts growing. Anywhere in the world, you see 10 to 12 years, when they are getting into the teenage, they start questioning a lot more. They start becoming more of a rebel, which is good. And that's the time we need to encourage them to question more, giving them a right atmosphere, right environment. So supposing this is written in the book, I think in The Fall of the Human Intellect, Swamiji. Today what is happening is, okay, now the person has come to college. They're 17 years old. Now, can you say that they have to be exposed to everything? You can give them the knowledge. You can tell them how dangerous it is or how you should be controlled, all that. But how many of us have the capacity to control? So, therefore, Swamiji says in the book, the environment has to be disciplined also. While the colleges should encourage them to question and develop their intellect, the environment has to be disciplined environment. Discipline in the sense, if you say, okay, you can do this also, you can do that also, then you are actually, what is happening is you're only increasing the intelligence. Okay, they may read and they may develop intelligence in that field, but the ability to control the impulse will not be developed along with that, which is extremely important. Because with all the intelligence, one impulse can destroy us. Just one impulse can destroy us with all the intelligence. isn't it? See, like when I first learned to play golf, they said you don't worry about distance. When you hit the ball, you don't worry about the distance. It will come. You just focus and learn the shot properly. When you strike the ball correctly and you finish the shot, you will find the distance slowly increase. It will come. The swing is perfect, it will come. You focus on that. Doesn't matter the distance. Oh, that fellow is hitting 150. I'm able to hit only 120 from this same racket. I'm more stronger than that fellow maybe. Doesn't matter. It's not the power, it's the perfection in the shot. So it's exactly like that. So we don't have to worry about that. But unfortunately, what is happening in today's world, if you see, things become very licentiousness extent. Licentious. Things become very licentious extent. Whatever you want, everything is there, exposed. ये भी कर सकते हैं, वो भी कर सकते हैं. And then you just keep on gaining intelligence. Then you will be able to put. How many of us will have that capacity? So therefore, you play safe. Till a particular age. I'm told in many places, they say, up to 25, you will not be allowed inside a bar. Now, they have certain researches they've done. They say that, the chances of you getting addicted is high before 25. Doesn't mean that you can't get addicted after 25. The chances are less. They say so. I've done some research. So, ideally speaking, we should control the likes and dislikes to grow. Growth is in controlling and directing the likes and dislikes. Giving into likes and dislikes, there is no growth. There may be swelling. Again and again repeating. Please understand the difference between these two. The whole world is going gaga, mad, looking at swelling as growth. But many business people, because we are in this line, sometimes some people meet us and talk to us about this business and everything. Some companies invite us also to give a talk. And many places you find this, they're running after swelling, thinking that that's growth. They compare themselves with somebody who started the business when they started and they've grown here or there. It's very interesting. Swamiji asks some people in the sense, whoever goes to him from the business community and they talk to him, they say, this is what was our company in 1950, in 1970, now it has grown this much and all that. He asked one question, how much loan do you have? And one gentleman said 50-50. 50-50. 50% is ours, 50% loan. He said, it's like shirt is yours, pant is belonging to the bank. Shirt is your own, pant is belonging to the bank. Anytime that fellow can remove your pant. You understand? So, see, it's very interesting. You cannot grow if you cannot take risk. But generally they say calculated risk. To calculate, you have to be peaceful now. You can go wrong in your calculations. Wrong calculated risk is equal to uncalculated risk. Calculated risk means you have to be in a proper position to calculate. What will you do? What kind of calculations will you do? You understand? Therefore, he says, there is neither knowledge nor meditation for the unsteady. There's no knowledge, there's no bhava. The attitude is very important. What kind of attitude you have? You have a contented attitude or a discontented attitude. And that will come the more and more you get established in knowledge. The more you get established in knowledge, you'll be clear about action. You will be free from results. Free from results doesn't mean you won't plan and function. Obviously, when you start a business, obviously you want a certain result. But you won't be result driven. You'll be action focused. When you plan for the future, that is done in the present, using the buddhi, it's a present action. But when your mind by itself goes to the future, it is called anxiety for the future. A steady-minded person plans for the future. and learns from the past in the present. But unsteady fellow's mind goes to the past and future. It goes on worrying about the past and becomes anxious for the future. That person, when you're in a disturbed condition, whatever I'm saying, you won't be able to hear fully. See, many times you'll find this, when you're listening to somebody on a YouTube or something, you think you've listened to everything. Second time you listen to the person, you feel, this thing I didn't listen. Though I listened to the whole lecture, this particular point or few of these points I didn't listen. Second time, because you're probably more calm. Sometimes you miss it that time also. Third time, fourth time, you will fully listen. The whole thing that they're trying to say here is growth cannot happen without sense control, mind control, whether it is material growth or spiritual growth. Whatever growth it may be. It's not possible without these two. Therefore, he says there is neither knowledge, na asti buddhihi ayuktasya, na cha yuktasya bhavanaha, na cha abhavayata shanti. And ashantasya kutassu. How can there be peace for a person who is unmeditative and without intelligence? And how can there be happiness when there is no peace? Which means what? You are doing actions thinking that it's going to bring happiness. But actually what it is bringing is unhappiness. All contrary results. Contrary results. If you remember in the shloka number 40, 41, that place where he was shifting towards karma yoga in this chapter, which we had covered before, he says, this person who's in karma yoga, that person is focused. The other fellow, his mind is not focused. Goes helter-skelter. He mentioned that in verse number 40. It's like single-pointed. So you conserve all your energies and direct it in one direction. In the other case, all your energies are getting dissipated in different areas. It's extremely important. Single-pointed, he says, O Kuru Nandana, O Arjuna, you are a joy of this Kuru clan, Arjuna. The intellect of Karma Yogi is single-pointed. Whereas the other fellow's intellect is not single-pointed. He is interested in result. It goes this direction and that direction. Fellow lacks self-control. Even since we talked about loan, before we kind of complete one loan, we take another loan. Extremely indisciplined. First of all, try not to take loan. If at all you have to take loan, then make sure you have discipline, especially in paying it back. Now, today what is happening in the world, even before one loan is paid back, they go to another one. And then we're praying to God, please make sure that our finance minister releases the budget in favor of my decisions. How is that possible? How many fellows are playing like that? Finance minister has to take care of you, your needs or somebody else's needs or whose needs. So, this is what Swamiji calls as living by chance, not living by choice. This is called living by chance, not by choice. So therefore, he says there is no peace for the unsteady-minded who lacks knowledge and right attitude, who has the capacity to absorb, he lacks it. As a result, the person's mind runs helter-skelter. As a result, he becomes peaceless. Peaceless means he is into pieces. P-I-E-C-S. And such a person cannot be happy. So your happiness is in controlling and directing and eradicating your desires. Remember this. Happiness is in your hands. How? By controlling, directing, managing, controlling, directing, eradicating desires. Relatively, when you start managing and controlling, directing your desires, you start becoming happy. Finally, when you eradicate all your desires, when you rise above all your desires, you become a sthita prajna, perfect human being. Then you achieve infinite happiness. This is what we need to understand. Happiness is not in mere acquisitions, it is in controlling and directing our mind. This has to become clear. Let's conclude. Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.